You, me, us, everybody is pumped up. We are ready to go. We are doing this again and again and again. Come on, let's go, let's go. How do you feel today?
Excellent. Yeah, I love it. I love the build-up. I love the vibes.
And do you think NDC have a chance of winning the next general election?
I don't think, I know NDC will win the next election.
The place is very nice, it's beautiful. Make me feel like I'm proud to be Grenadian all over again.
What do you think about the ambience, the space?
Amazing. It feels like I'm coming to a brunch. I love the colors, the decoration. I like to see a lot of young people here in attendance, and that shows a lot about this part.
I'm in the construction sector, right? And at no point in time I've seen so much construction happening in the country that we can't even have the manpower to meet the demand right now. So it's a good thing.
I travel from New York, come straight up just to be part of it. The best thing that ever happened, the transformation, you can definitely see the jobs is there. I mean, you cannot ask for anything from the last election to this day, which is 4 years. I mean, you cannot ask for anything better. Yes, there is ups, there is downs, but I mean, you've seen the changes, you've seen the transformation.
God bless Deacon Mitchell and the way forward for each and every one of us, especially the young people. So much to offer for them. No turning back.
This is the best. That is my first time coming to the NDC rally, and that is the best.
I don't have to pay no school fees for my daughter from September. And then for the past beginning of the school years, no school fee. She's going to be graduating next year when she goes to TAMCC free again. So it's just an awesome feeling, you know.
Vote NDC on election day. I want NNP to take this and put it in their pipe and smoke it.
Once you are green, you have no choice but to turn yellow. Because most things green eventually turn yellow.
This is going very good. As far as I can see, next election is NDC all the way.
All the way.
All the way.
NDC to the world.
To the world.
I feel proud as a Grenadian to see that we celebrate 4 years stronger and better. And I can say the Prime Minister is doing a marvelous job.
Like you're living on about 10% of the population, about 10,000.
I can see a lot of progress throughout the country. I'm sure a lot of Grenadians can see a lot of progress from infrastructure to education to the creative industries, agriculture, workers' rights and welfare. There has been a substantial amount of progress that I think is undoubtable.
One message for each and every Grenadian. What will be that message?
Keep Grenada moving forward.
I feel so good today. I feel awesome. Progression is taking place, and I just want to be, and I'm just happy to be here.
Next election.
We have done so much things in Grenada. This government, this NDC. Sister, do you agree with me?
100%. 100%.
What do you agree with him on?
That we had made promises and we had delivered. Promise made, promise kept.
And we have the arrival of His Excellency Deacon Mitchell.
Hello, yellow. You're looking good. Are you ready for the culture? Are you ready for the culture? I'm coming back. See you later.
Finally seeing changes in this country, leveling up the quality of life for individuals, the WASH program, the Build Back Better program, changing lives left, right, and center, the pension program, wage increases, changing lives step by step, one family by one family. It's going throughout the country. Everyone will be leveled up and the quality of life will continue to improve. The Project Polaris is going to be phenomenal, and I cannot wait to watch the next 4 years unfold.
put back NDC in the power, right? Because they're working for young people, they're working for our country, they're seeking our best interests, they're creating jobs. NDC all the way. If you want to see a better future for your children, your grandchildren, Deacon Mitchell all the way. But NDC.
Can you tell me your personal opinion on Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell?
Well, to be truthful, he was my son. And what I see he is doing something very good for the country, you know? And I will support him right through.
What is happening in Baton Rouge Jungle today is a true reflection of you, me, and us. And you can see the people coming in the numbers. There is a sense of unity, there is a sense of readiness, and we are prepared to take the progress forward.
How do you feel today?
Elated, satisfied, contented, and looking forward to greater things in time to come.
One message for each Grenadian. What will that message be?
Hold this yellow, give NDC a chance to continue the progress.
Let me see you put your hands in the air. Start to way up like this. She said, take it easy. What? Wind up yourself. Wind up yourself. She said, take it easy, I will. Get up. NDC. Everybody start to jump now.
I had to leave New York to come down for that rally.
Wonderful.
You understand me? And we are going places. It's up and up and up. Nothing could be better than that. NDC is a winner, and they will never stop. They cannot stop NDC. They cannot stop a river. It's flowing, and it's up, up, and up.
I'm ecstatic. The vibration is excellent. The people's support, their warmth, and their energy after 4 years is electrifying. And we look forward to the next 4, and the next 4, and the following 4.
I feel like a winner. I feel like an achiever. I feel like great things are happening for the country and for our people. I feel that we are on the right track. I feel that what we have done for the last 4 years are what the people wanted from us. And I feel that the people have the confidence in us to give us at least another 4 years. And from there, many more to come.
How do you feel today?
I feel wonderful. We were blessed by the weather this morning, and it's gone now. And I feel wonderful. The turnout has been great. And I had to be here to support the party because the party is doing amazingly for the country.
One term is not enough. You have to let them continue to work because they have been working from the time they took office, and the work continues in all directions. So please give them another chance or another 3 chances because Deacon Mitchell is working very hard.
As a former Prime Minister of Grenada, how do you feel today?
Well, I feel good today because NDC in the last 4 years have done an excellent job. I mean, I'll tell you, in my view, not even the revolution did as much as they did. When you put this in context, in education, in health, infrastructure, they have touched everything. Public workers, police, teachers, I mean, we have to give them credit.
I will be back someday to come.
I love the party. They're doing great. I mean, that's a government that done so much in 4 years. And yet for a person's not seeing that. Well, the blinded ones, a matter of fact. But we're going great.
Outline one thing they did that is different.
Pay pension and increase the police salary and the nurses. Give them incentives with the doctors so they won't leave and go in somebody else's country and work.
So here, I asked her one thing and she did about 4 or 5. You, me, us, 4 years stronger.
And they see all the way.
We have a Prime Minister that focuses on development. And this is why he travels, he goes here, he raises money there, he promotes Grenada internationally. And I think we're coming in with 11 to 14 seats.
I feel excited to see the crowd and to see the amount of people here today. Grenada moving forward. Like, people agree. The majority of the people here agree that Grenada definitely on the right track.
Deacon Mitchell back into power. That's the man for the country. He had a place moving, and he have a hat for the nation and for the young people.
Wonderful.
Deacon is the man. We voting him back again, and it's that.
Wonderful.
Nobody ain't changing it.
Wonderful.
Nobody ain't changing it.
Get out and register so we can vote. Register. Go out and register.
This party here gonna win 15 seats.
We don't ring it bell. We burn the conch shell for them this song.
Remember, the conch shell is coming. The conch shell is coming. Get ready. Stay aggressive. Stay positive. Register to vote. Register to vote. Make sure you have your voter's ID. Make sure you encourage your neighbors, your families to come out, because election have consequences. If you want Grenada to keep moving forward, you need to make sure that it's you, me, us, NDC, going. I love you. We look forward to serving you for the next 6, 10, 15, 20, 30 years to come.
We aim it high up to the sky. We aim it high up to the sky.
Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. We're happy to welcome all those who are listening on radio via WeFM, Vibes FM. We've got Spice Capital Radio. We've got 100.5 FM out of Labby in Grenville. We've got, I believe Right Along is still there, but we've got Rampoon Radio out of Delaware in the United States. And there's another station, I'll get to his name shortly. But there's so many other stations picking up the heartbeat on a Sunday afternoon. We want to thank you for doing so. And of course, our special viewers on the NDC Heartbeat platform and also on YouTube. So welcome to everyone to another NDC Heartbeat episode. Another beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada. And we started off from, put it that way, local demand. They want to see the video at the rally. So we shared that with you again. People's power. People's power. And in studio with me this afternoon is the Honorable, what's your name again? I haven't seen you for such a long time.
I will give the introduction. The Honorable Ron Redhead, sir.
Such a long time I ain't seen him. He's the MP for Northeast St. George.
That's correct.
Welcome. Good to see you again. And it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Always a pleasure. You know, as PRO, I enjoy most of the time just sitting back and look at the program on a Sunday and just be, you know, entertained, both from an interesting dialogue standpoint and also from the little picong that we give one another on the program. You know, is all love and appreciation in terms of what we want to do. But it's a pleasure to join this Sunday. Now, I was interrupted in my Sunday worship up in Mardi Gras, myself and Prime Minister and Senator Adrian Thomas. We were enjoying a good worship, and I got to get me about 30% of the sermon. So I would have to get the rest from both Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, and Senator Thomas. I think Senator Thomas might give me his version. He might try to sing it as a calypso, but
he might probably give you in a kind of a highly spirited environment.
Well, I think we'll get the best one.
I don't know what Prime Minister will do for you, but I know my friend, he will give you in a spirited atmosphere.
Definitely.
With some liquids flowing.
That's true. You know, so it's really a pleasure to be here. And maybe I could just start off by saying, you know, my intent this afternoon really is to discuss, Terry, what we've been up to, the People's Manifesto, how it's been going, and to give a report to the public thus far. And it's going extremely well. Without you even asking, I could just dive right into it because it's just been such a lovely experience thus far. And it speaks to our own capacity. You know, we spoke about the intent of this repeatedly. Honorable Prime Minister announced it, and here we are today fulfilling it, and it is going well. We are on target, and we are completing what we have to do in relation to the People's Manifesto.
Now, have you covered all constituencies so far?
All except one. The only outstanding constituency is Karakou, Pitimatnik, and naturally, of course, as you know, they have been prioritizing the recovery and the build back. And so to a large extent, most of what they would like to see obviously will revolve around recovery efforts post Hurricane Beryl 2024. And so they are still putting things in place, and they will commence this week with the People's Manifesto listening to us.
Okay, what would you say is the salient thread of conversation in these sessions?
Well, there are a number of salient conversations, or threads rather. The whole question of community involvement, and in no particular order. You have the whole question of community supporting, and probably we could zero in on community participation there, because it speaks to where we want to take this. Which is to institutionalize, in a sense, that question or measure of dialogue, discussion, accountability from the representative standpoint and the community, ensuring that, 4 years in, for example, what we discussed, where we were going to take the constituency and the country on a whole, that we have begun to do just that. And remember, we are starting the process, and therefore the process was not campaign to finish in 4 years, but to begin. And we are really satisfied and pleased that we have begun the process. A lot more work to be done, Bereteri, because it's been going exceptionally well all across the country. The people have been participating, and the substance, this is an important point, the substance of their contributions must not be gone unnoticed, right? When people say, it is the people who, in a sense, are the ones going through the struggles, going through the difficulties, they will have solutions. It is genuinely just that. Because it's been going so well to the extent that, we could just call the budget right there, because the people's ideas are so much in sync with what the government wants to do and how the government has viewed the situation in the last 4 years and where we want to take the country, that it's really, really a pleasure going forward. So far, we've been able to target close to 3,000 people nationally, and we anticipate with the winding down of the listening tours that we should be able to bump just over 3,000 people nationally in terms of an immediate consultation. Then we will go back, present the ideas in time to come, short order, and then the public will get to provide their own feedback on what has been collated thus far by way of a draft manifesto, and then we can present that back to the people. So we have exciting times ahead of us, but so far the People's Manifesto has been very successful by the National Democratic Congress.
Would you say that this novel idea is new for Grenada, or has it been introduced before?
It's not new, but I think what we have, as I have consistently maintained, is an administration, the National Democratic Congress administration, with the capacity and, most important, the credibility to be able to implement what is discussed among the people, whether it is from the constituency level or on a national level. In other words, what we campaign on, what we endorse by way of ideas, bet your bottom dollar, we will work extremely hard to implement it.
All right. Now, with respect to the manifesto of 2022, what would you say is the percentage accomplishments nationally?
Well, we're close to, if not 80, just over 80%. And I'll give you, the reasons why. Now, when we campaigned on a number of structured areas, right? I'm not even going to just mention pension and minimum wage and so on. Take, for example, the implementation of Grenada's blue economy, right? While we had fisheries, et cetera, in the past, what we wanted to say is that, or do rather, by way of policy, Grenada, which is really a big ocean state and not should not be seen just as a small island state, has tremendous potential in the marine space of the country. But in order to achieve that, what we needed to do was to set the policy framework and then work out the mechanisms or the implementation agencies to be able to, in a sense, unleash the benefits there for Grenadians. And so we are satisfied by creating the ministry, by creating some of the other departments and getting some of the people with the capacity involved. We are seeing a tremendous change. And I'll give you one example. While the fish ban was a major concern. It had been around for a long time, and we were able to resolve this issue and, in a sense, pivot now into what we consider the expansion of other fishing markets. This is something that has to be built out. But the point is, Terry, where we are now and where we're taking it is far different to where we met it. So we are satisfied that we have been doing the work as it relates to the manifesto of 2022. We have been extremely successful in implementing a number of the areas, and we are looking forward now for this version of the People's Manifesto to be a continuation as to what it is that we want to do to be able to build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Mm-hmm. But of course, it is true to say that some individual MPs have achieved just over 90%.
That is correct.
But
that is correct.
Nationally, you're looking 80, 85.
And we want to be modest as well. I can tell you some colleagues estimate it to be a little more. Now, there is always room for improvement, so us being modest and understanding as well to ensure that we do not go to people trying to pretend that we are all things to all men. Understanding that we've been hit with major hurricane during our tenure. We've also had to navigate some very murky waters from a global standpoint, and understanding how that is impacting even today. You see with the cost of living measures, the constant implementation of new measures to be able to keep us afloat. The government has been doing a tremendous job at navigating, so to speak.
Right.
So there's always room for improvement.
On that note, as you rightfully introduced there now, the cost of living measures which the government has recently introduced, maybe you can share some of that with the general public.
Certainly, and I want to encourage the general public to continue listening to the Ministry of Finance, and in particular IRD as they roll out the VAT-free shopping days, for example. But government has engaged in enhancing some of the cost of living measures. Now, I want to give a little background because I think sometimes we need to put these things into context. The government is not reacting to the economic situation. As you could well imagine, since coming from Hurricane Beryl, we've maintained that we need to rebuild and recover, but we also need to maintain the responsibility, notwithstanding the FRA. Fiscal Resilience Act has been kicked in to, in a sense, subside some of the measures and so on, and allow for the spending for the recovery. So what we believe we are doing at this time is understanding how to navigate the challenge of the external factors as opposed to the internal needs, and doing it in a manner which we've always been consistent with from day one, in the context of what was read at the budget and how we maintain the trend, how we maintain the focus, how we maintain to keep Grenada afloat, and also doing it in a way also to respond to the needs of our citizens whenever those needs are threatened or put under pressure. And genuinely so, the government has been looking at several areas to, in a sense, provide immediate relief. Some of it is flashing across the screen as we speak, but you had the removal of VAT on electricity, enhanced electricity subsidies. You had the implementation of 2 VAT-free shopping days for the next 3 months in the first instance. And then you also had a 4th one, which would be seen there. So the point about it, Brother Terry, when we analyze, this is just the initial response, but it's not the end to the response, simply because the external factors, i.e. the war, the global picture, etc., it is out of our range and it is unpredictable. And therefore, in terms of navigating this present moment and beyond, what the government will be doing, which it is doing, is to, in the first instance, put out initial measures to help cushion the impact that is being felt primarily on consumers, the consumption of electricity or energy and goods on the shelves of our supermarkets. So it is a deliberate attempt to try to cushion those impacts, but doing it in a manner to always leave room if we need to scale up, and we hope we don't have to because of the fiscal situation in the country, to maintain our focus, and if we need to remove because things may be looking much better. So we are hoping for the best, but also preparing for the worst.
Yep, we live in very uncertain times, worldwide.
Worldwide.
And the situation is just not Grenada or the Caribbean. It's
Correct.
the entire world
Correct.
that is facing these issues and so forth. And Ukraine being a major producer of grains
Yes.
and manure products and all
So,
these
so,
sorts
so, so since then, you raise a very important point.
Yeah.
Since then, we've been grappling, in a sense, with some of the higher prices on the shelves. So it is about navigating those circumstances, but doing it in a way where we understand how to maintain fiscal discipline and responsibility, notwithstanding the challenges.
Absolutely. And therefore, this brings to mind the government's agenda with respect to food security.
Yes.
Of course, the Minister of Agriculture can speak more thoroughly on this. But what is your take on what is happening in that sphere?
No, you're correct. This is why we need to produce locally. And that production is largely being scaled up by the Ministry of Agriculture. We take, for example, the National Hatchery. I stand to be corrected, but I believe the Minister will provide an update on the status of it. It is ongoing in terms of the construction and repairs work that is taking place up there. We have the Produce Chemist Lab. We had the introduction of the cultivating of white potatoes. That is also being done as it relates to pineapples. It is also being done as it relates to some of our smaller crops, short crops. So the intention is, Terry, that government, notwithstanding that we face the external challenges, have not sat and just complained of the international pressures. But what we have been doing strategically was to build our local capacity to be able to produce. Now, in time to come, once the hatchery is ready, that whole question of the shortage of eggs, for example, that occurs around December and so on, this more than likely could be something of the past. And the expectation is that we're working with local businessmen and women in the industry already to be able to, in a sense, collaborate so that we could keep the sector afloat. And I want to make this point because, I've heard it in terms of what the government can do. Now, you don't want to force businesses to reduce their markup so low that they are unable to make a profit and you run them out of the market, because you'll create an immediate shortage, right? Because they are the importers. The government is not importing the food like that. You have private businesses importing the food. They go through all the process, etc., via VAT and customs service charges, etc. So they are importing the food. The challenge is that there is not a need for the government to unilaterally just react to the whole situation of cost of living. What we have been doing, which we are confident is the better measure, is to engage and then incrementally make changes as we see it. We have the luxury of understanding the fiscal situation of the government. Meaning, I'm going to say we, I'm talking now about the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Economic Development, etc., and i.e. Cabinet at that level. So we understand what is taking place. We understand what the global situation is. And then now the private sector, they also have contributions to make to be able to say, well, how can we be able to reduce this but still maintain the sustainability in a particular area. So it is going to be a work in progress. It is going to require, in some instances, engagements, and it is not something that the government could just get up in the morning, electricity prices high, bam, let's just cut it 50% and so on. We have seen that done before, post-COVID, and it has been a dismal failure, because we must also take the opportunity to compare what is going on now as to what existed in the past. Grenada has been hit with multiple difficulties. There's no question about that in its 50-year history. We've had Hurricane Ivan, we've had COVID-19, and let's just pick those two as to how the reaction or the response has been versus what we are doing now in terms of a measured, collaborative, thoughtful, data-driven response that is being taken by the NDC administration. Now, when you look at Hurricane Ivan, even today, just recently, the current Minister of Youth and Sports is repairing a building up in her constituency that was damaged by Hurricane Ivan. And it tells you that recovery is a very difficult process. And so if it is that, one should criticize the other, we also need to measure what one has done in order to be able to criticize the other. Then take, for example, COVID-19. When we had the global shock, Grenada as a CARICOM nation had the lowest economic drop as a result of COVID-19. And what that told us was that our vulnerability was not just about bad decisions in general, but it meant that we did not build up over the many years the economic dexterity or strength to be able to withstand some of these shocks. And so ultimately what we are doing now is, one, building up the buffers where they can be built up,
right,
and also giving relief to be able to generate business activity so that we can still keep the country afloat and we do not end up in a situation worse off post every disaster or crisis. So the old saying coming out of COVID-19, never waste a crisis, that is what this administration is doing as it relates to that. But it also requires us, similar to COVID-19, as a people, to get responsible as well. When one has to pay their electricity bill, and I sometimes look at the posts and I say, what? This person showing their bill, they say you're paying, $800 here, $700 there, and so on. The question is, what are you doing that may be allowing that bill, notwithstanding the inflationary external factors, but allowing that bill to rise so much? Is it that you should change some of your fixtures? Is it that you should change the lights? Is it that you should check the wiring? Is it that you should stop running the fan during the day when you're home, open up door, window, etc., go outside, take some breeze, fresh air? Is it that you should cut back on the AC? Is it that you should try and cut back on the heater as well? Because outside is extremely hot. During the day, maybe you shouldn't be with the heater. I mean, I'm just saying, but we now have to take personal responsibility as to what is taking place and to see how we can continue reducing the use of these things to the extent that it could be facilitated. So I am not trying to say that we're going back to Stone Age. I'm not trying to say that we should just forget the AC and forget all the nice amenities that we have. But, you have to now start looking at surviving this present situation, and then coming out of it, what are some of the enhancements that you can make? Government is absolutely keen on now investing greater in alternative sources of energy. The fuel, Terry, is just unsustainable for us as small island states. So that is an area certainly that we can see coming out of this energy global crisis as a result of some of these wars being fought in the Middle East and other areas, what we should be doing. So we have actively pursued two projects. That is the geothermal project. It's a longer term project which is going to be able to take energy from the earth, right, as opposed to solar, wind, and fuel. And you also have hydro. And we have also invested in a major solar project, which is expected to be rolled out at the Morris Bishop International Airport. Currently in Carriacou, the Ministry of Climate Resilience completed the reconstruction of the Limle Solar Farm, which will allow Carriacou to start generating electricity outside of the use of
Grenlec.
Yes, Grenlec, and well, it's through Grenlec. So, in other words, what we're doing is we're now investing in some of the alternative sources. That is key, because in order to be able to respond to the situation, we cannot do it in a manner, and I hope people understand. I'm just speaking from the layman terms. While I am not the expert, I want to just posit that here. But the clear understanding is, what is the government doing to respond? So I'm trying to give those responses as we get to them. So the whole question of cost of living is not something that could be responded to in a knee-jerk fashion, because it is not manufactured internally. We rely on external factors largely to be able to generate electricity. Unfortunately, over the many years, we have not done enough to diversify that sector. So it is now for us as a nation to come together and to understand. And I would say to people, forget about this green and yellow conversation, which can change the price of sugar. What could change it is the policies that we put forward, as we see with the 2 VAT-free shopping days for the next 3 months, right? Or up until December 2026. The point is, we need to come together and start talking about solutions. And that's why we believe the People's Manifesto is critical to this whole conversation, because out of those, we've gotten some wonderful ideas. I'll give you an example. In my constituency, a gentleman already had a proposal prepared, which is something called Budget Ride. We are going to find means and ways to get him the investment he needs to get that piloted, where we can be able to provide transport through the private sector, through a cooperative mechanism, for the workers in the services sector, hotels, etc., restaurants. Also, and that is particularly for the nightly service outside of the private public service transport that is operated. And in addition to that, the elderly. There are a lot of people, Brother Terry, that move around. They may be getting a little pension here and there and so on. And now the government has transformed how we distribute the social safety with an actual card. So we can also be able to track patterns, etc. But for them to go down to town to get money to pay bus is a challenge. So ensuring that we as a society make accommodation for the elderly, the sick, the disabled, is something that I think we need to start having the conversation about, and to see how we can come up with the solutions. The thing is, you know, propaganda will always surface faster than a good idea. Because with a good idea, it takes brains. You have to sit, analyze it. People need to give their input, share their pros, cons to the idea and so on, in order to develop it. But as a nation, we are not doing enough of that. So the mindset, you know, over this whole cost of living debacle situation that we are presently experiencing, it needs to change. While we are enjoying Carnival, but there is always that element which needs to keep us, in a sense, attached to and tied to our country in a serious way. Where do we go 4 or 5 years from now? Is it that we are expected to be in the same situation, or what can we do to pivot Grenada into a better situation?
Absolutely so indeed. And I recall some time ago there was an initiative about converting the sargassum into biogas.
Yeah.
So that's another initiative. Do you by chance have any updates on that? I know you're not the Minister of Agriculture.
That's okay. Well, I think it's an innovative idea in the context that you want to use the sargassum, which is a problem for tourism, etc., and turn it into a positive. So it's something that this administration certainly supports. I know the Ministry of Climate Resilience did look at a project. The Minister of Climate Resilience, Blue Economy, maybe even agriculture might be in a better position to comment on what is being done at the Grenada end. But I know regionally there have been countries that have invested in pilot projects to see how we can utilize the sargassum to be able to generate energy, and also feed back into the question of agriculture and so on, the whole question of the food production and increasing that comes to mind as well, because the cost of fertilizers as well is also being impacted globally. And so we have to come up with creative ways, taking a problem and turning it into a solution. So it's something we should adopt.
Yep. Well, as they say, when you've been thrown a lemon, then just make lemonade.
That's correct, man. That's correct. That's
Bad
correct.
breeze never blew.
That's correct. That's correct. You know.
Great. Well, what we're going to be doing at this time is just to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with you. Stay with us.
In the south, you can see transformation happening in Guankai. You can see transformation happening in Granans Valley. For the first time, the people of Mount Zion have a road that they can drive on. As we stand here tonight, the wash program is taking place in the limes, where everyone in the limes will be given an inside bathroom and toilet to bring back dignity in our people. As we stand here tonight, the medical woman center is being refurbished. As we stand here tonight, the license center, industrial area that was damaged since Ivan time has now been refurbished.
People, for you,
We invested in education. We have opened doors to exciting skills training. We have established the creative economy. We have said clearly, Grenada's future belongs to you, not a privileged few. To the workers and small business owners, we have worked to strengthen the economy for you. We have reduced unemployment to historic lows. We have brought investments. We have protected your livelihoods and your future with secured pension. We have put Grenada back on the international map.
You, the people, to write the manifesto for the National Democratic Congress in the next election. We will go to all of the polling divisions throughout P.T. Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada, and we will meet with you in each constituency, in each parish, and we will ask you to tell us what you want done in your village, in your polling division, in your constituency. We will write that down. We will put it together, and then we will come back and present it to you as the manifesto of the people, co-authored by you, for you, and for the development of Grenada for the next 5 years.
Welcome back to the NDC Heartbeat for another beautiful Sunday afternoon. In studio with me is the Honourable Ron Redhead. He's the Parliamentary Representative, St. George Northeast. And we've been chatting on a number of things. But right now we'll be talking infrastructure.
Right.
What is happening in that area? What is happening in your constituency? And give us a holistic picture of all the activities taking place on mainland Grenada and Carriacou.
And Carriacou as well, right. So, Brother Terry, as you know, the slogan says, things are happening.
Things are happening indeed.
You know, the Ministry of Infrastructure is probably the most active it has ever been in a long time in terms of being able to implement, and not just implement, but see projects completed, you know, in a sense, under budget, and within particular time period. I am very pleased to talk about my constituency today as it relates to infrastructure, because for a long time, when we look at St. George Northeast, it provides a main artery in terms of connecting the town of St. George back up to the tourism belt, so to speak, which takes you back over the hills, you know, 1910, etc., and back to Grenville, St. Andrew, and so on. And the main artery for a long time has been disrupted. We are now pleased to talk about the incoming projects to be started, and also some of the ongoing ones. So you had the widening of going up to 1910. That was being done by St. George Northeast contractor. So I just want to posit that there. We've had extensive conversations after Beryl with the Ministry of Infrastructure, and they were kind enough to start the work, you know, and just do it one time to be able to widen the roadway to have traffic flow much easier. Notwithstanding, we have some slides. And coming down now to Bolio, unfortunately, we've had some delays with the Nawassa pipe lane project. It is not about blaming. I think where we are is understanding that in the world of construction globally, you do have, you know, disruptions. The elements can sometimes affect, you know, you have natural disasters that can occur and set a project back. But essentially, now we have seen some light at the end of the tunnel as it relates to the completion of those projects. And it was happening simultaneously in Grandance, South St. George, the Northeast, you know, St. Paul's, Tongue of St. George. It's currently ongoing. So we have seen that the Ministry of Infrastructure and the Honorable Prime Minister in particular announcing a number of these projects are expected to start, one being in St. George Northeast. So one of the parcels that is being considered, well, contract has already been signed, and Renault Construction is the contracting agency to complete it under the build, design, finance model, is from Monkuma Junction all the way back to Tempe roundabout. This is a critical project because I think, Terry, if you know that road, you don't have sidewalks along that main road. you have had over the many years a number of drainage issues. We've done some work there since coming into office, but I can tell you, even the work we've done, the magnitude of water that is flowing and so on along there is a challenge, right? So we were able to rectify at least 3 key areas along that route. But now we are going to get an enhanced project, and by someone who have tremendous capacity and experience in this field. If I have to judge between whether I want an experienced politician from the 2022 election to whether I want an experienced contractor, I will pick an experienced contractor. I'm just putting it in a light moment. I'm just teasing because, you know, I mean, because when it comes to construction, you need people with the experience, right? There is no understating that. Because oftentimes we design projects, but it is just to fix the immediate area. And then when you look down the road, you see the amount of damage that this one project is doing. And we've inherited a number of projects like that. So we are really, really satisfied where we are now in terms of what is being done with the Ministry of Infrastructure. The pothole patcher, again, is doing its thing. St. David, right now is the NV. Karakou, Petit Martinique, right now is the NV. I looked at a road in Petit Martinique. And I say to myself, well, imagine they didn't have that for years and they get that in 4 years. Well, that is phenomenal.
I was up there in June with the spice tree planting, and I was amazed to see the concrete roads up in Petit Martinique there. Beautiful views in that area. Wow.
And I want to talk here about why I think these things are happening. Now, I could recall when I sat in the Senate many years ago, well, not many, but in 2018, 2019, the then administration said one of the challenges why they had a low implementation rate was because they didn't have enough engineers. That was the argument. And so they had about $310 million at the time to implement in capital projects. And they said, in order to implement that successfully, they will increase the amount of engineers. Well, just like everybody else, we're still waiting, right? Just like the oil and gas, we're still waiting. That didn't happen, and that didn't improve the situation. This administration, when coming in, took a new look at infrastructure. What we decided was that the way in which we inherited the Ministry of Infrastructure was not serving or fit for purpose. The Ministry of Infrastructure didn't own a hammer. He didn't own a nail. He might have 1 or 2 trucks, but that was about it. And it was almost left in a deplorable state. Today, when we see what is happening in terms of new models of how we are expected to find investment to complete work, rather than going and take all these expensive loans, etc., and tying the government to severe debt, we have worked out models and ways that are much more comfortable for contractors to come around, build, design, and finance, which is a critical component. So they don't have to wait on startup capital from government to be able to do work. They are also coming with the technical knowledge and experience, because the challenge that we face is while we must continue to invest in our local contractors, in some instances, the challenge is simply that the capacity to be able to build and design is certainly not there. Most local contractors, ordinary men, yes, and they are very good in some instances, very skilled, but they can't prepare bill of quantities. They can't read these plans. They can't understand some of the technical aspects. So we have work to do as a nation. So when we talk about the centers of excellence in construction and so on, it is not separate or isolated from what the government wants to do. But in the meantime, in order to fix the road along Bolio, we can't wait to have the centers of excellence to be able to train our teenagers and so on so that they be better contractors. We have to invest in them, yes, now, but we also need to get the work done. And so that is what we've been doing from a strategic standpoint as it relates to infrastructure. Now, notice outside of my constituency, I didn't go into details in some of the other constituencies. The government representatives, MPs, they've been doing a wonderful job in explaining. And I encourage every Grenadian, whether home or abroad, go onto Facebook, see what is happening. You could check the party's Facebook page. You could check our minister's Facebook page, where they provide on a consistent basis, nationally, what is happening. Even a caretaker such as Dr. Tessa Sincere, who time and again will be able to negotiate for investment in her constituency. She is also updating the nation on work that is happening, and she is just a caretaker. She have no budget, she have no, in that context. But she's doing. And so what we are satisfied of is that somehow or the other, what we inherited 4 years ago to where we are now is a drastic improvement. But again, we still have room for improvement. But infrastructure is another area that is improving. And given the global situation, the capital expenditure is going to be critical for generating economic activities to be able to have the country stay afloat, so to speak, during these difficult and uncertain times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I mean, there are just so many projects going. It's difficult to get tradesmen, I mean, to do work. So the whole aspect of skills training.
Yes.
How is that progressing? Because I know that was a major initiative and concern of the government.
No, skills training is progressing, and the Minister of Education, i.e. Senator David Andrew, is going to give his comprehensive update on this, and you can hear more details from him as the representative for the government on this. But it's progressing. I think where we are now, the challenge we face is there's still a gap between how much trainees we can turn out versus to what the market requires now. And so I even want to segue or pivot into the conversation about importing some labor to be able to get us to where we need to be. We do not share the view that now is the time to close the door to the world. I think as a big ocean state, now is the time to open the doors to the world. Mm-hmm. And now is the time for us to find common grounds to support each other. I'll give you a little joke. I said to somebody who say they are self-claimed socialists. I say, you know what the problem is? The ideology is flawed, because rather than seeing capitalism as an enemy, you should have worked, because capitalism have the profits that we could invest in the hospitals, that we could invest in the education, that we could invest in the social welfare of our people. So you should have worked together. So, I was just throwing a little pick on, because, this is how we should see society. So the issue of importing labor, the government is looking at it, and in a serious way, Brother Terry, because for us to really roll out some of the projects and programs, we cannot be using the excuse that we can't find workers.
Exactly.
Right? And every Monday morning, somebody is showing up to work, and then there's no repercussion, or the business, in a sense, gets undone.
Plus, Carnival is in the air.
And you can play with a Grenadian and Carnival. Even when it's up in Carriacou, they find an excuse. They say they head out in them, and they ain't sure. But, that is some of the challenges that we face. And how can we as a nation, I'm not just talking government, how can we as a nation address these concerns? So these are some of the conversations that preoccupy the cabinet of Grenada, for example, when we meet. It is not just about workers and get this and, who victimizing and who doing, not some of the petty stuff. Genuine, deep, philosophical ideas and discussions take place, and to see how we can move the country forward. So these are some things that I believe that we should intertwine, both the skills training to be able to turn out the capacity that we need, and also how we manage the importation of labor, particularly in the construction sector and also the agricultural sector.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, so indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we almost to the end of the program.
Already?
So, yeah. Time flies. Time flies. Yeah. So, as a former Minister of Culture,
right?
How do you see our carnival shaping in?
Well, if you ask me who wins Soca Murakaya, I mean, come on, I can't answer that, Brother Terry. But it's a joy to see our artists having fun and doing a good job while we speak. I really like the crowds that I saw at semifinals. When we came in, there were a number of issues outstanding with the artists, from Calypso to Groovy to Soca Munak. I'll tell you, the underlying thing for them was that they were entertaining into poverty. They were in the field, they were giving it their all, But I could tell you, almost all of the major soca artists after a carnival season was in major debt when we came in. That was the situation that we faced. And so when people like Boise and others, Shorttree, raised the concern, for example, about raising the fees as to what they would get for performing, for this administration, it was not a difficult decision, because what we looked at was that investments may not always come directly where you give this cash. But if we found a way to improve what the benefits entailed, and I can tell you, while it improved the amount up to 100,000, but what came with that, so I think it's 20 in kind and 80 in cash. What came with that also, for the first time, we started investing in the techno, in other words, the lights, the fireworks and so on. We started investing in that. Because what we discovered was that we want Grenadians and the rest of the world to have an experience when they come to some of these major events. You're not just coming just to hear the good song. You want to leave energized. You want to leave feeling as if you must return. And so the technical people and from a policy direction, we have done a pretty good job in ensuring that we put our monies where our mouth is. And so the Minister of Culture is best suited, I assume, to come on next week to discuss in great detail how things have been going. Although they sing a song on him, but as you know, if they sing a song on you, that means you ain't doing something right.
You're sure right. You
I like to
sing a
tease him
song,
with
that means you're doing things.
I like to tease him. You know, he's a man from the art form as well and understands it. You know, always in life we have room for improvement, but I think by and large we have seen a steady improvement in that regard. What we need to work on now is capacity in terms of people coming into the country. I could recall maybe even before the year reached 3 months, places were already booked up for Carnival, for Spice Mass 2026. And it's a good thing. So we need to work on improving those, and hopefully as we go on building the various elements, that aspect of the tourism and the accommodation and so on, this is something that we could work out to be able to take the art form again to another level, having come in and inherited what we inherited and try to move the needle where that is concerned.
Okay, well, we have 1 minute left.
Sure.
And therefore I would like to ask that you just share in that 1 minute what has been the experience like with your new ministry.
Oh, wonderful. I met my staff last week for the first time since coming in on June 1st, and I want to make the point that it is not just about, you know, not doing. We've been meeting with different people. We're not making noise as yet, because I think the most important thing is to get a full assessment as to where we are, what it is that we need to do, what is the government's mandate, and we've been working over time to achieve that. We've just passed the Digital Transformation Agency legislation, and we are hopeful that we could implement this in the coming months and the public can start seeing benefits as a result of this new agency.
Fantastic. Great. Well, we are at the close of the program. Thank you for being part of the Heartbeat today. And well, I guess your colleague, Senator the Honorable Persuader,
yes,
Adrian Thomas, shall be here next week to talk about Carnival, and hopefully he can entice his CEO, Kurt Ross, to be here with him, so that we can talk Carnival, all that is happening and so forth.
Spice Mass and so on. Looking forward.
So let me just say thank you very much for being part of the Heartbeat today, and join us again next Sunday when we have hopefully, keeping fingers crossed, the Minister for Tourism, Culture, and Creative Affairs, the Honourable Senator, the Honourable Adrian Persuader Thomas, and hopefully we can get the CEO of Spice Mass, Kurt Ross, to also be here to talk.
I see you have an instrument behind you, so it means that you're ready for Carnival.
Yes, yes. Well, I didn't even see it, so things happening. things happening.
Yes, sir. All right.
So we want to thank MP for St. George Northeast, the Honourable Ron Redhead, for coming in. Sorry that you had to take away from your church service.
Yes.
But it's all in a spirited moment.
Yes, yes.
And so have a great Sunday afternoon. And to all of you who've been part of the Heartbeat today, do have a great Sunday afternoon. In Grenada, it's looking great.
Yes.
The sun is out and things are looking good. Thank you, and join us again next Sunday when we do it all over again. Have a great Sunday afternoon. Goodbye.
wipe them out entirely. Kick in. I find the place too quiet. The place too quiet. Let's drink some rum and have some fun and start a riot. Worrying on me diet. I hope you say a prayer. Don't let me hear the choir. Everything. Hey. Mayhem. 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 Every rag in the air. We make everything rise up. We turn the place inside up. You sign in and never sign up. War ain't got no time out. Man must up in that. Put couple shots up in that. Take your time down. Don't dump the oil up in that. And don't wild up in that. With one style up in that. One girl, each shot. Make everything rumble. Make everything move. Make everything rumble. No boy can escape. I find the place to quiet. Let's drink some rum and have some fun and start a riot. Worrying on me diet. Say a prayer. Don't let me hear the choir. All you sing it out.
No descendo, that's all.
Mayhem. 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 Mr. Man, your blessings run out of your plate. You're disappointed in me, but I'm doing great. It's like burial part to upset your face. The other fuckers run it. Make everything rumble. Make everything shake. Make everything move. Make everything rumble. Make everything shake. Everything in the air. What? I find the place to quiet.
Who in charge of the ship? Who responsible for the ship? I want to know. I need to know. Point me to the captain. Tell me who in charge of the ship? Who responsible for the ship? I want to know. I need to know. Point me to the captain. Service. The water coming down, time to move. The breeze blowing like a typhoon. All dripping in the lagoon. Anchor down and bring out the crew. So if your rocks are in the air tonight, well, if you feel the pressure in here tonight, and if the ship sinking, we still waving. Whole crew all in the line tonight. No fear, no backing down. We follow, we drum. From out to stern, the whole place. They better listen, cause the people talking. All the waves, come. Hold on the rail. Rock it. Hold on the rail. Rock it. Pressure in the engine room. Hey. Tell me who in charge of the ship? Who responsible for the ship? I want to know. I need to know. Point me to the captain. Tell me who in charge of the ship? Who responsible for the ship? I want to know. I need to know. Point me to the captain. Service. The water coming down, time to move. The breeze going like a typhoon. All dripping in the lagoon. Anchor down and bring out the crew. Anchor. Progress back. Good night. My fans that say good night. All the is my crew ready to take this tonight? Is my crew ready to take it home tonight? Somebody say, Captain. Hold on. Right now, Progress back. We're getting ready to set sail. And I need all hands on deck. Watch me, everybody. If you have a rag, a flag, a paper, a jersey, a t-shirt, anything. Put it in the air like this. Put them up. Watch me. Put them up. Hold on. And we going left to right. Watch it come on. You know man? Left to right. Yo, put. Starboard. Put. Starboard. Pasta. Put. Starboard. Put. Starboard. Put. Starboard. The water coming down time to move. Breeze blowing like a typhoon. All dripping in the lagoon. Anchor down and bring out the crew. Anchor. So come on up. That was good. That was real good. But I had to make sure all you could swim. I had to make sure all you could swim. So come on up. Look at that shack over there. All you, come long so. Come long so. Look at that shack over there. Hold on. But I don't want all to get bite. Nobody will get him bite tonight. Get the instruction. I want all you pelt all your hands and swim for all your life. And we heading so. Remember we come to wow the judges. So we heading so. Watch me. And the come down for. Get ready to go down so. And the come down for. Get ready to swim. 1, get ready. 2, get ready. 1, 2.